What they don't tell you is there's been repeated incidents of children being approached by the migrants in the hotel in Tamworth. A migrant left the hotel in Tamworth and raped an English woman. They don't talk about that, yeah? So they want you to believe that these people are out on the streets and they're angry because they're far right. Whereas in reality, I've researched and found 10 migrants who have been placed in hotels who have gone on to rape English women. Okay, so many circumstances. One, what they don't tell you, there was trouble in Hartlepool, and all the newspapers called them far right. The Keir Starmer calls them far right. A migrant who we paid for to come into this country, we housed him, we clothed him. He left the hotel in Hartlepool. He pulled out a knife and stabbed a British man to death walking down the street for Gaza. His words were, it was a terrorist attack. You probably didn't read about it because they suppress a lot of these things. Any crime. So incidents like this, and not just like this, why were the people in Bournemouth protesting? Well, maybe, Keir, because you allowed a migrant to go into school. He said he was 14. You put him in school at 14 years old. And there was questions about his age from the school as well, and from parents. He went on to sexually harass girls in the school. He went on to chase another pupil with a knife in the school. It turns out, because he then goes into the town centre a year or two later, and he stabs a Royal Marine to death. Now, when the Home Office do their investigation into this one migrant, we find out that he shot 2 people dead with an AK-47 on the way to Great Britain in Serbia. So he's a murderer and we find out he was 20 years old, not 14. So a murdering adult migrant criminal you put into school in Bournemouth. Yeah? You housed him in school. Again, we paid for him. We housed him. We clothed him. We fed him. He went on to murder a Royal Marine, a gentleman's only son. So that family are probably pretty angry, Keir, with the Home Office, as are the entire community and the town, Keir. And then how many rapes have we had by migrants on Bournemouth, in the beach, sexually assaulting girls in the sea? So people are angry, not because Tommy Robinson, yeah? They're angry. And again, if you've got your computer there, let's do it. Put in...
Don't have internet.
Okay, migrant rape Leeds, if you're watching this. I bet it'll bring up a woman who went jogging who was raped by a refugee. If you want to pick any city in this country, yeah, I'm going to show you, we're going to go through this on a new film. Pick any city. Put in refugee rape. It'll bring up a refugee that raped someone.
Do you think part of the issue might be that we've got an ageing population? We can't support the older people. They need to do something. So they have to bring in more younger people from abroad. And the alternative would be to encourage people to have more children and have larger families, people who are already here. But they have to bring people in then to be able to support the economy. And they don't want to have to deal with the issues that you're describing right now. They just want to go, no, don't think about it. That's why they're curbing free speech.
I think that if this argument that I heard Angela Merkel try and argue, they're not working when they come in. They're reliant on the state, as are their children.
Many immigrants are working.
No, we see that many Muslim immigrants are not working, okay? 50% of the women on benefits. We see when you look at the statistics there for us to look at. If that was the argument, bring in Filipinos, okay? Bring in Hindus, bring in Sikhs. If this was the argument. Sikh community have come to this country as migrants. They're the biggest proportion of house owners, the biggest proportion of business owners, the biggest proportion of contributors to society. They're a success story. Yeah. If your argument was this, then bring in a community that will integrate, assimilate, still be proud to be Sikh, still be religious, but accommodate Britain and love Britain, but rather than declare war on it. Whereas what we're seeing is, say, for example, Afghani migrants. Again, we look at this in the film. Any success story. So BBC Yorkshire run a success story on this Afghan migrant who's the perfect migrant. He's joined the local cricket team. Wow, great. Yeah. He's brilliant. He went on to rape a woman. Yeah, these are your success stories. You know what BBC then did, which too late because we've archived your stories, just delete the story. And they gave us another story in Newcastle with another great migrant. Oh, he's a great migrant. Look, he was persecuted in his country. Really? He led the grooming gang in Newcastle. Yeah, your refugees, and this is to Keir Starmer and to any politicians that want to label these people as far right. They're angry because of your policy failures. You have brought people into their towns and cities. And those people that you've brought in, and a judge condemned one of the rioters. A judge condemned him because he said, I don't want my taxpayer money going to house these rapists across our country. And he was condemned as a bigot. Well, what he's saying is right. Our taxpayer money, every one of you watching this is taxpayers' money, is going to accommodate, facilitate and house men who, many of them have declared war on this nation. Many of them will not integrate or assimilate. Many of them are not here to integrate or assimilate. They're here to dominate. Okay, the aggression that people are seeing with their own eyes in their own towns and cities, it's there for everyone to see. And it's like, look, our government have managed to, people took to the streets in most towns and cities, yeah, many towns and cities, out of fear, out of concern. women fearful for their daughters, fathers fearful for their daughters. The government haven't once addressed any of the issues. They haven't even spoke about the issues. They haven't spoke about migration. They haven't spoke about the fact that all the hotels are full. They haven't even looked now. You're cutting all the energy or the heating for old age pensioners while sending £8 billion to Africa for climate change.
But before we go more into Islam and the issues that we face, I think it's important to address the many Muslims, and I've heard you speak about this as well, who are peaceful, who do want to integrate with this country. What message would you have for them?
Unfortunately, they're irrelevant in the discussions we're talking about. We're 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list in the UK. Yeah? What are the majority of the peaceful Muslims doing about it? What did they do about the grooming scandal?
But what can they do?
Well, what did they do about the grooming scandal? Not one of them reported it. Not one single incident.
But they'll be killed.
That's the problem because of Islam.
But I'm just wondering if you have empathy for those.
I have empathy for Muslims who want freedom. I believe every Muslim child born in this country should have freedom. We have 55,000 British Muslim girls who have had their genitals mutilated. 55,000. They should be protected by British law. They haven't been. They've been failed by British law. I wished for every person in Britain to experience true freedom. A Muslim girl doesn't get to experience true freedom because she'll be killed. Okay, probably by a mum and probably by a dad and her uncle, many times. Yeah. So I understand, and I can speak of this from experience growing up in Luton. Yes, I have many Muslims that I grew up with who are wonderful people and great lads, great families. But they're irrelevant in stopping this problem because they're not even allowed to talk about the problem because under Islamic scripture, they can't side with a non-Muslim over a Muslim, which, and if anyone wants to look this up, it's the reason we had grooming scandals in every town in the city. We had 1,000 victims in Telford alone. 5 have been murdered in Telford. Rotherham had 1,000. If we just look at these two towns, Rotherham had 1,400 victims. How many Muslims in that town reported to the authorities or to the police that they knew their colleagues, their uncles, their brothers, their cousins were raping kids? Not one in the whole country. Not one single case of a Muslim going to the police and reporting these gangs. Not one.
Well, as I say, it's a risk. I mean, I remember speaking to Yasmin Mohammed, and we were talking about the difference between Jews and Muslims because you get a lot of atheist Jews. You get a lot of Jews who don't believe in the scriptures and things like that. And I said, but aren't there atheist Muslims? And she said, that's a dead Muslim.
She's 100% right. Yeah, that's a Muslim who... Well, not. I feel so badly for, say, the people who leave Islam or don't actually believe in it. Because they're trapped. Like I can speak, and I have absolute admiration for ex-Muslims who have left Islam, because whatever I've done in my life, I've spoke a lot, I've caused controversy, I've caused my family problems, but my family have never isolated me. If a Muslim comes out and says, I don't believe in this, they're kicked from the family, the community, everything they've grown up in, their whole world is just gone. So I really feel and admire the bravery of the ex-Muslims. Do you know, and I'll give you a story. I was in a village outside of Luton. Like I'm walking out of the co-op and this woman said, oh my God, Tommy. And there's an Asian girl. I said, yeah. She goes, please come back to my house. Please. I only live up here. Please come back to my house. And I was thinking, oh, this is random. Yeah. What's happening here? So I said, what's going on? She goes, please. She's been hiding there for 10 years. She's from the next town up. Yeah. So I went back to her house where she had her boyfriend who was an English lad. And she said, Tommy, I follow everything you're doing, man. I was brought up a Muslim. I brought up in this town, which is 10 minutes from Luton. I've been hiding here for 10 years. My family will kill me. Yeah? Where's the support mechanisms for ex-Muslims? Where's the safe houses for ex-Muslims? Where's the government strategy to save people? We have government well-funded strategies to save people who get involved in far-right politics. Yeah. They get safe houses. They can get new identities, yeah, to get them out of these groups. What about these lot who are being killed? There's more cases of honour killings and people living in fear and apostates being murdered. The punishment to leave Islam is death. But again, to stress the point which I know you started with, I am not saying every Muslim's a problem, okay? I don't want to deport Muslims from the UK. I have a problem with the teachings of Islam. I think they need to be addressed. I separate the people who follow Islam from Islam. If you hate an individual person, then it's wrong to hate individual people.